Yeah. It's Chief. It's TJ. It's Sunday Night Football, friends, and we are here in the building. This honestly, this has become one of my favorite shows, especially now that me and TJ are on pretty much every week, because secretly, and yeah, I know we haven't taken it on the millie. I know TJ's had a monster week, a couple monster weeks. Secretly, though, if you've been following and listening to this show and getting in on some of that action, we've been leading you to the promised land, folks. And that's what we want to do, right? Every week, we want to lead you to the promised land. We want to help you get close to your showdown takedown. We want you to ship this thing solo too, right? We don't want you to chop it 20 ways. We want you to win it solo. Everybody, I know we'd all take like a 3 or 4 person chop. That's good money at the end of the night. I think we'd all do that. But we want you to win, and we want you to win convincingly, and that's what we're here to do. TJ, how's it going, my friend?
Honestly, it is going so it's going well. It's going so well. This all day today I'm just watching these NFL games so closely, crying that I didn't fade Zach Moss in a couple more lineups, crying that the one that I did fade Zach Moss in didn't have Tyreek Hill. 5 tickets in the $4,444 Millie Maker, and my team's just a lot of good plays, none of the right combos. And then Deebo Samuel goes off in the fourth quarter, second half, whole game really, right at the end there. His I went from making $0 in any of those tickets to min cashing 2 of them because of that last Deebo Samuel touchdown. So ended up taking down about $14,000 today. Basically gave up all hope, and then went to watch some screeners for a show that's coming out to Disney Plus here in a few weeks that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. And then checked the app, saw Deebo Samuel went crazy, and happened to sneak into two min cashes, which in entries that big was pretty nice. So good overall, really good Sunday so far. Hopefully we can carry it into the night slate. Honestly, I was planning on taking the slate off, but now that we got those in, we should be good to go.
All right. Well, listen, we are here to help you guys get rolling. First things first, I always want to discuss my video. So this for tonight's slate, I do have Patrick Mahomes as someone I think we want to get involved in. Also on that video today, though, I think in the lower end, I think Harrison Butker is going to be a good guy to plug in, especially not in the captain, but in the flex. I think Butker has a double-digit fantasy point performance tonight. I think the Packers defense is good enough, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs offense slows down in spots enough for Butker to come out here. My thing is I think he gets about 12 fantasy points. And as a result, I think we're right on it. Here's how he gets there. I think he kicks 3 field goals tonight, for what it's worth. And as a result, he kicks a 40, a 30, and they score a touchdown. Or, they score 3 touchdowns and he kicks a 40 for. Either way, I think he's around 12 fantasy points tonight. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I know that's a little bit aggressive for our projections, but that's the pulse I have in this game. They're playing on the road in Green Bay. Green Bay has been playing a little bit better, right? And so I'm hoping the offense comes out and they're just slowed down just a touch inside, maybe not even the red zone, but just as they get in the field goal range, and Butker's able to trot out there and kick a couple field goals. And and for those of you that don't know, the optimal time for field goals is right before the half, right before the half, or early in the game where there's no scores. So if they get down, if they get down early and they want to get some points on the board, they'll probably kick one. And if they've got it right before the half and they've got to drive within a minute and a half, 2 minutes, yeah, they want the touchdown, but the idea is they want to score points, right? And so those are to me, those are the 2 most optimal times. And then as we get later into the game in a tight game, so a 21-17 game, teams up 21-17, they're going to kick the field goal, right? Those are the things they're going to do. So I like Mahomes. I like Butker as 2 plays that I want to get in today. TJ, I'm going to kick it over to you, and let's just talk about overall optimal strategy for this slate. And we don't want to pencil ourselves in, But for instance, are you thinking we're in a 4-2 build, a 3-2 build, some type of 5-1 onslaught? Where are you kind of landing in terms of lineup construction for yourself personally tonight?
So originally, just on first thought was I figured I was going to be fairly heavy on the Chiefs today, but looking into the pricing, they're all expensive and the Packers are all really cheap. So while I was kind of thinking originally I was going to be going quite heavy on the Chiefs, I don't actually think that's going to be the case because they're all the Green Bay players are so cheap in comparison. So it kind of makes me want to maybe focus in on two Chiefs, like a Kelsey and Pacheco, Mahomes and Pacheco, Mahomes and Kelsey, whatever it is, and then mix in a bunch of these Packers players thinking, hey, maybe the Chiefs get up early, but even if they do, the Packers are going to have to be throwing the ball a lot to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't hate that at all. I definitely think that's an interesting build. What I will say is this: I looked at some builds where I locked in Patrick Mahomes in the flex, TJ, because I just want to kind of see how do these lineups look, how do they build out, so forth and so on, and I've ended up with a lot of 4-2, a handful of 3-3s. But a lot, I take that back. It's really 3-3 and 4-2. I'm not seeing a lot of 5-1 builds for this slate. Whole lot of 3-3, whole lot of 4-2, and a lot of that is just depending on kind of how you want to approach your captain play, because there's a lot of ways I think you can go at captain tonight. I will say this, TJ. I feel like the optimal captain is coming from Green Bay tonight, for what it's worth, because I think those players are too cheap for the production. Now, I looked into this. So we got Romeo Doubs. Doubs has been on the field roughly 80% or above 80% pretty much every game. You got Jaden Reed in the 70s. Since Christian Watson's come back, he's mostly been in the 80s, right? And those are your three main guys. Then we go over and we look at the targets, TJ. And so the amount of targets that's kind of been flowing their way, it's been pretty spread out. I feel like the one person that seems to have the consistency is Christian Watson, maybe outside of week 9. He's been hovering in that 7 range, but Dobbs has had some games where he's popped a little bit, 9, 6. We've had Jaden Reed recently, 6'3", 5, 6'8". Those are his past couple weeks. TJ, there's really only one person that's consistently getting more targets than these people, and that's Travis Kelce. Outside of that, nobody else in this game has some massive market share. So unless I'm playing Kelce at captain or maybe playing our good friend Sonic the Hedgehog at running back, for those of you who don't know who Sonic the Hedgehog is, that is Isaiah Pacheco, just because somebody said he looks like he runs like Sonic the Hedgehog, and I saw that he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog when he's running, just his style. And I said, man, that's interesting. Sonic the Hedgehog, I like that. So my greater point is this: no one.
I got headphones in. There's no way my dog can hear it, but my dog started barking named Sonic, and he's going crazy right now. He likes himself some Pacheco.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like one of these Green Bay receivers could be the guy tonight, or Isaiah Pacheco. I understand that Patrick Mahomes is great. I understand that he's absolutely probably going to throw some touchdowns tonight. But unless he goes nuclear, and unless Travis Kelce goes nuclear, getting a Watson, getting a Reed, getting a Romeo Doubs, to me feels like the right play, unless we're going with Pacheco on Kansas City. I'm in the camp of Pacheco at captain, or one of the Green Bay Packers receivers at captain. I'd probably even lean a little bit more Jordan Love because he's cheaper than the rest of these guys as well. But for me, I don't, and this sounds crazy, I don't want to play Mahomes or Kelce at captain. It's Pacheco or somebody from Green Bay. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm heading tonight.
I'm leaning towards Jordan Love as my favorite guy. So I was like I said earlier, I was just like so down in the dumps from the day earlier, thinking that those tickets weren't going to go well for me, that I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the night off I'm going to do the show, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this show that I got some interviews coming up for. And then all of a sudden I saw that I got a couple wins. So I thought, you know what? Screw it. We got a show with Chief. Let's build a lineup. I'm going to throw in a single entry. And for what it's worth, I'm looking at it, and I think my favorite captain to go with is Jordan Love.
I don't hate it.
Like Jordan Love, a little bit of Reed, a little bit of Watson. I think I want 2 to 3 of Reed, Watson, Dobbs. I'm not sure which ones yet, but I'm leaning to Reed and Watson. And yeah, that's kind of the way that I want to go about my build today, I think, because it's like you said, they're a little bit cheaper, these Green Bay guys, and it allows me to pick one of somebody to play with on the other side. I like to get some Pacheco. I like Harrison Butker. Just about figuring out who I want my last player to be now.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a couple questions. I'm going to try to stop and take the questions as we go today. We've got Skip Scaleless. It's actually Skip S, but we're going to call him Skip Scaleless here. He says Kelsey receiving prop too low. Not a question, that's a comment. It may be Skip. We'll see. I haven't really dug into it. I got to decide how I'm going to approach this game from a prize picks perspective. I'm not sure. TJ, did you write up prize picks today for this Sunday night game by chance? TJ's written it up. He's shaking his head yes. Get over there. Check that out. Go ahead, TJ.
Yes, I did. I'll see if I can drop it in chat here really quick. I did not write up Kelsey. I looked into it. It did look kind of low on the eye test for me too, but I saw it was basically right on what we were projecting him for in the RotoGrinders projections. And then the Pick'em tool actually had the edge going to his less than on prize picks. And so I decided to not go with that, but I do have 3 other ones that I wrote up. And Thursday night, I believe we went 100%, or maybe if that wasn't Thursday, I know for NBA last night, we went 100%. So make sure to check that up as well.
Yeah, we're going to give Skip S a big badoon tis. He knows what I'm referring to. All right, we got our good friend of the show. This is Lip, Eric Johnson. He's saying, QQ thoughts on MVS captain. I can't do it, Eric. I don't think MVS captain is where we're at. AJ Dillon, we will get to AJ Dillon, and then he's asking about Wicks. We will also get to Dontavian, Mr. Wicks as well. He's another one of those receivers from Green Bay. So let's go over to running back. I think at quarterback, we kind of know we want to play Mahomes. We feel like Jordan Love is a more optimal captain. I absolutely agree. We're absolutely going to be playing Love in our lineups. So for me, once again, we're at running back now. I do like Isaiah Sonic the Hedgehog Pacheco at the captain spot tonight, or he's one of my captains. Definitely a guy I think that we can get in there. I think he's got a little bit of upside here, especially since he mostly has a stronghold on his backfield. That's really what's getting me excited. If they're in control of the game, he gets a few extra carries late in the game, and perhaps he can pop one for a big touchdown late. So now that we're talking about running back, how do you feel about A.J. Dillon? We've got our good friend, like I said, good friend of the show, Eric Lip, asking about A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon is just okay. He's 7,800. I do understand that, he's got a stranglehold in the backfield as well. He could absolutely punch 2 in. Where are you on A.J. Dillon?
I'm light on A.J. Dillon today. I think Kansas City is going to be taking control of this one. I think they're going to be forcing Jordan Love to pass the ball. I'm not a big fan of A.J. Dillon today. I just can't. I'm sure, I was going to say, I can't see a scenario where he's the highest performing player. Of course I can. Anything can happen in the NFL. The Chiefs haven't been near as good as people expected them to be this year, but I just like the prices and of the receivers and the quarterbacks so much better. I like how my teams look with Jordan Love so much better and with his receivers than with A.J. Dillon today. And for me, if A.J. Dillon was going super low owned, then I go yeah, that's great. I'll take anybody low owned in a tournament, but he's going pretty reasonably owned today. And the fact that I don't think that they're going to win, I think they're going to be playing from behind. Usually I can throw away what my brain thinks and roll with some projections when I see an edge, but I don't really see that edge today. So I want to just go with what that's saying. So I think kind of how I would go about it today if I was playing A.J. Dillon, if I was running more lineups, is I'd want to put him in on DraftKings. I just want to throw him in the captain position and then play Mahomes, play Kelsey, play Rashee Rice and that sort of lineups and say, hey, it's unlikely that A.J. Dillon performs. But if the Chiefs play like crap and Green Bay goes out to a lead, well, then that's like a game script that's foreseeable and like that's possible. And so it tells the story. I'll go with AJ Dillon. I don't really like him in a vacuum. If I do, it'll be like the going incredibly contrarian, throw him at the captain and say Packers win this game easily.
Absolutely. I get it. I think Dillon's just okay. So yeah, let's move on to this. So Eric is also saying, hey, Chief, AJ Dillon over 11.5 receiving yards or more than 11.5 receiving yards in terms of a projection. I like that. I don't think that's a bad play. That's not what I'd be overexposed to. So if you think about it in terms of, I like to actually think about when I'm playing the pick'em sites, I almost think about it like GPPs, TJ. So what I do is I say, okay, if I've got 5 cards, right, or 5 different builds of this game, how much AJ Dillon would I be comfortable with in terms of my 5 entries? And I would say at 11.5 receiving yards with more than that, I'd probably say 1. So I'd take 1 card with more than 11.5 reception. That's something. Let me talk about that real quick, TJ. Then we'll move on to talking through wide receiver, or if you've got any other random running back you want to talk about, please do. I think sometimes with the pick'em sites, we got to remember this is a fantasy-based contest, right? And I know you're not playing against other people; you're playing against yourself. But oftentimes, I've noticed, TJ, if you can just get your exposures right to the categories or to the projections, you can really end up with a really nice night. So here's the thing: let's say you've got 5 units, right, and your unit size is $10. Well, you got $50 in. If you double up, you're already almost halfway there. If you get another double up, you're pretty much about to just, get all your money back. All we're trying to do, TJ, for me, the way I like to build is I like to build, and I'm hoping, hey, let's just get 1. Let's get 1 that's all the way right? And then if I get a couple of double ups and I happen to get into luck into 2, it's a great day. But let's get 1 25x. Let's get 1 10x. That's what I'm looking to do most of the time. And so how I do that is when I'm building, let's say I like Patrick Mahomes tonight. I'll say, okay, what are the few Patrick Mahomes projections that I like? Do I like his passing yards? Do I like his rushing yards? Do I like his fantasy points? Do I like more his touchdowns? What do I like? And then I'll say, okay, if I like the passing yards the most, give me 3 passing yards, give me 1 rushing yards, give me 1 touchdown. Because sometimes those aren't all exclusive, right? And maybe I'll say, give me 1 fantasy point, so forth and so on. So for AJ Dillon, I'll do the same thing. What are the offerings, right? What are the projections? And then which ones do I feel best about? And then I'll put those and segment that into almost like a GPP building structure for my cards. All right, TJ, I'm going to let that go. Any other running backs that you like tonight that you want to talk about?
I do actually do the exact same strategy on Prize Picks of like, I have a script in mind and it's like, I want this card to hit. Like this is my idea set of kind of how you were talking earlier pre-show about the unders on the Chargers and the Patriots. And that's part of my actual, the script that I built into this one. One of my write-ups was the Dillon over 11.5. That was actually the highest on our pick'em tool, fantasy pick'em tool on for Prize Picks over on RotoGrinders. But I'm happy you, like, one of the last things before you threw it to me there, you said, like, do you have any other random running backs that you would want to potentially throw in? And we got Doug Harrelson in chat saying, any love for Patrick Taylor? I actually do have love for Patrick Taylor. I think he's very interesting in throwing lineups for a nice, cheap Green Bay play. You're not playing AJ Dillon. You think the Chiefs, you're playing a script where the Chiefs are playing from ahead. Taylor's in there in the second half to catch some passes. I like that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. And I get it. All right, TJ, we're going to move over to wide receiver. And so for me right now, my build, I'm just playing single entry tonight. I don't feel like going through the massive MME script. And I know we do have sim labs that can really get this done for me quickly. So I do want to acknowledge that, folks. Get into sim labs, check it out. While it's free, it is a beneficial tool. Please get in there. For me, TJ, I didn't feel like going through the whole thing. I want to have condensed thoughts and put them together that way tonight. At wide receiver, once again, I do think the 3 from Kansas City or the 3 from Green Bay, Watson, Dobbs, Reed, I think any of them are viable. Once again, their target share is similar enough, right? But then we've got the Kansas City wide receivers. Rashee Rice is more than any of these Green Bay wide receivers, and I think that's a mistake. I really do. Now, I'm not saying I hate Rashee Rice. I don't have anything against Rashee Rice, but I think him being more expensive than the Green Bay guys, really, I think that's a huge mistake, TJ. So I am much more I'm going to be much more heavy, and I know I'm only building one. I'm going to focus on the Green Bay passing game tonight. It's really what I'm trying to say. How about you?
Yeah, that's the exact same thing that I'm planning on doing as well. I think Rice is just a little bit too expensive for my taste. Sorry, I'm going through some of these. I'm like, wow, there's a bunch of overlay and ticket contests again. So Rashee Rice is the one that I'd probably go most overweight on because of that price tag. But it's these Green Bay ones that I'm targeting the most. In theory, I would like Dobbs the least, but like DK is so smart with their pricing algorithm. You know, they look so close together. Watson, Reed, Dobbs, they look so close together that in a vacuum, I go, okay, that's easy. Watson, Reed, 1A and 1B, Dobbs quite a bit behind based on their prices. But still, I find myself making a bunch of different lineups and looking at it and going, how can I not afford Watson or Reed? And I can only get to Romeo Dobbs here. So they were smart the way they pulled that one. I would kind of rank it of that group, like the three Green Bay guys, then Rice, probably just based on prices alone. I would rather take like a super cheap shot on Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney just because they're like 2K.
Absolutely. I like it. Anybody down here in this cheap range at wide receiver that you like? And I know you mentioned Kadarius Toney. Now I'm talking about like we've got like Dontavian Wicks is 800. Like that cheap. Do you like any of these other guys?
Yeah, Wicks and Toney, I'd totally be fine with playing with. Noah Gray, even at tight end, I'd be okay with going there too. Can't imagine I would play Malik Heath, but if I'm running like in the single entry style thing like I'm planning, but if you're running a bunch of lineups, yeah, why not? I really like those guys, especially in Kansas City onslaughts. So it's like I'm trying to get Pacheco, Mahomes, and Travis Kelce all in a lineup, one of them in the captain position, then load up on Wicks and maybe even Wicks and Heath, because that builds the game script of the Chiefs get way ahead and you see some backups for the Green Bay. So I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, sounds good. At tight end, obviously at tight end, we've got our big dog here, which is going to be Travis Kelce. You know, he's the second highest price play on the slate. Obviously, we know that the Kansas City offense hasn't been elite, but you know he's still their number one option. So I think I'm never going to tell you to not play Travis Kelce. Like he's basically their number one wide receiver. That's why you have to pay so much money for him. I think also at tight end though, you know, when you look at a guy like a Noah Gray, you start looking around. You've got Blake Bell, who may be in for a play or two. You've got Tucker Kraft, who's now Green Bay's top tight end. Where do these guys fit in? And I think the overarching question is, how much Kelce do you want to get to tonight?
So I'm getting to a lot of Kelce. I have him. I ended up making about 5 supplementary lineups in addition to my main lineup. He's not in my main lineup just because of how expensive he is. And then he's in all of the supplementary ones. So that's kind of how I'm going about it. But it's like I would love to play him as much as possible. He's just pretty expensive, and you kind of have to choose between one of him and Mahomes in most lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally get it. So yeah, for me, listen, let me say this, Eric, I'm not against the Wicks call at captain tonight. I'm not. Let me just say that. He's cheap enough, like he's get one big bomb, and we could be looking at something really pretty here. You know what I mean? So I'm not against getting in a little bit of Wicks at captain. Eric, that might actually be that's probably a sneaky good tournament call right there. Like that's a sneaky good tournament call. I don't hate that for what it's worth. I don't hate that. What are your thoughts there? Like, I don't think Wicks is involved enough. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that. But, I mean, one big play, a 60-yard touchdown, and we're looking at something really interesting to take this stuff down. How are you feeling about that, TJ?
Yeah, I think that if I was running a ton of lineups, I would probably consider something like that. In the limited amount I am playing, that's going to be a no from me. But I think it's viable. I 100% think it's viable.
Let me ask you this: Christian Watson or AJ Dillon straight up? Who you playing?
Watson.
Yeah, those are my thoughts exactly. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun slate. All right, so I think we've wrapped that up at wide receiver. At tight end, at tight end, I've already talked about me wanting to get in kicker Harrison Butker. I've already talked about that. I'm not sure how you guys feel about Anders Carlson. I mean, he's just okay. Like, I mean, there's a $200 difference. There's a $400 difference. I'd absolutely just side with Harrison Butker. Let's go over to defense. TJ, defense. How are you feeling about defense tonight? I'm not playing any defense tonight for what it's worth. So what are your thoughts there?
No, I think I have. Do I have the Chiefs defense in one small team? No, I actually have the Packers defense in a very contrarian small dollar AJ Dillon captain lineup.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So let's go over some construction, Steve. If we can get a little screen share going, we'll try to hook that up and see how we can bring the people home. For me, TJ, once again, I'm going to let you decide, Captain. I do think, and I'm going to agree with Eric on this in this front. I do think Wicks at captain is like the super ultra contrarian. Hope he gets a touchdown catch for a nice large gain and a couple other catches. I think that's what you're hoping with Mr. Wicks. I don't hate that call at all. But in terms of just generally speaking, for me, I'm going to side with you, and let's go Jordan Love here.
Yep. Jordan Love is my exact thought here as well. That's who I want to roll with as our captain.
All right. So we're going to roll with Jordan Love at captain. For me, I think my big pair, I still think it's going to be Christian Watson. He's got the upside. I know we haven't necessarily seen it pop so far, but I definitely think he's got the upside. I'm going to go with Christian Watson. How about you?
I want to plug in immediately after, since we have Love at the captain spot. I want to go with Jaden Reed. I think we go with 3 Packers here. We take their 2 best receivers, their 2 most targeted receivers. I like going with these 3 here, and then looking to the Chiefs for our next spot.
Absolutely. Love it. Couldn't agree more. Next down. So we want to get a Chief in. I do like Harrison Butker tonight. How are you feeling about Butker? Is that someone you would consider getting in there?
Yep, I like that play as well. This kind of fits to me. It could go either way. Of maybe Love looks like he did last week against the Detroit Lions, and he's throwing a bunch of touchdown passes, or the Chiefs are playing from the lead. They get a little less aggressive in the second half. They're kicking some field goals, and then we get Butker in there, and then maybe even one of their stars or Pacheco is our next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't hate that at all. And I think that's where I think that's where we leave it. I think that gives you enough ideas about how we're trying to personally build this slate tonight. I will say this. I am going to take a shot here tonight and do something a little crazy in the Millie. The large field tournament. I'm going to take a little shot here and do something a little wild, and hopefully it ends up in the range that we're looking. Hopefully we end up on the right side of this thing. So let's see if we can do questions. So Eric has another. He said, "Is 4-2 Green Bay sneaky?" I don't know if it is, Eric, because of the pricing. And that's kind of where I'm sitting. Like, you've got, and I do have a 4-2 build right now to be exact, but it's because of the pricing with the Kansas City Chiefs. So you've got Mahomes and Kelsey, who are their top two primary options, are pretty expensive. And then even their third option is still more expensive than everybody on Green Bay. Like, that's where we're landing. So I think 4-2 is going to be probably where most people land. How do you feel about that, TJ?
Yeah, 4-2 or 3-3 is where I'm seeing, like, I'm just finding my easiest builds are getting there. For what it's worth, for what it's worth, that was hard to say. Based on our sims, the 3-3 is actually the most optimal construction tonight, followed by the 4-2 with 4 Chiefs and 2 Green Bay players.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting to. Like, I've been getting the 3-3-4-2 pretty much exclusively. So I definitely think that's the right way to go tonight. So I'm going to hunker down there. I know we're getting close to lock. I think it's an 8:20 lock tonight. TJ starting it. The game starts at 8:20, so we still got time. I want to make sure we have questions. Anything interesting that you want to plug in there as well tonight?
This is like the most wide open slate I think we've had in a while. Like, Green Bay has 5 receivers that they use. Wicks will get, like, it's mostly going to be Dobbs, Watson, and Reed, but they'll throw Malik Heath out there. They'll throw who's the other one we were talking about? Wicks out there as well. And then obviously there's nobody who does that more than Kansas City. We know the ball is going to be going to Travis Kelce unless he's being triple teamed at all times. And then any of Valdez Scantling, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, any of these guys could score a 50-yard touchdown today. And so I think it's a good day to not be super married to one thing of like, I'm positive this guy is gonna break out today and have a absolutely great game, because these two teams are notorious for spreading the ball around. So it feels like in a 150 setting, a really good day to get exposures to a lot of low-owned different players. Yeah,
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I'm trying to check the questions here, TJ, and I don't see any. Have you hopped in the live stream chat? I don't see anything in the live stream chat either.
Let's see. I'll pull it up right now. Usually for single games, though, those are pretty empty. Yeah, nothing in the live stream chat for questions. I think we mostly covered everything.
Yeah, same here. Listen, folks, let's go out there tonight. Let's just have an incredible slate. Let's take this thing down and let's post some screenshots on social media so people know that us, the guys over here at RG team, we're working hard. We're trying to make sure we get you guys, what you need. And so I'm excited. I love the slate. TJ, thanks for joining me every week, my friend. This has been, a pleasure. Eric, Born Bless, Colin, everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. I'm Chief Justice 06, aka Will Priester. I did that in reverse. And that is TJ Zwarych, also a member of Agents of Fandom. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we've got one more before we close up. Come on, DePrince. Got to be quicker than that. Oh, you got to be quicker than that. Kelsey or Pacheco. I need a little bit more context, buddy. Give me what, if you're on which site or because I think on DraftKings, I still like Pacheco quite a bit. I think both are viable. If I'm on FanDuel,
straight up, if I can afford both, it's Kelce. But I like using Pacheco to try and upgrade somewhere else. So if you're not upgrading, it's Kelce. If you are, it's probably if you can upgrade somewhere else, it's probably Pacheco. If you have Mahomes already on that team, it's definitely Kelce for the correlation. But just straight up, like assuming kind of you're playing a lot of other cheap Packers players, I think it's Kelce unless you can upgrade somewhere else.
I like it. FanDuel. Yep. Just take Kelce, DePrince. Just take Kelce. Steve, sorry, I didn't mean to psych you out there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We love you guys. We appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you back with the crew. Not us, but a different crew for tomorrow night's pre-lock show. See you next week.